been a cocoa minute, but I have been really working on myself, learning more about myself, and finding out a couple of things along the way. Um, I noticed how I applied things to life and what attachment style that I came from. Um, and I thought that I was avoidant personality style, but coming across a avoidant, detached um, attachment style made me understand. And when I went to therapy to understand that I have an anxious attachment style, and it wasn't always that way. I'm gonna tell you guys that because some people think that if you have a detachment style and how you how you cope and how you attach to people is one way. It's always been that way. Um, it can change. It definitely can change, and it is what it comes into your life that makes a difference. Now, when I was younger, my mom, I'm going to tell you this because it makes a huge difference about my attachment style. My mom, you guys know, went to prison, so she was not there. My father was deported constantly, y'all. When I say constantly, I mean constantly, to the point where it was almost they just started telling people, especially when I had to go to um, um, when I had like a case manager and social worker and things like that, they would just say he's not here. They wouldn't even go into explaining. And so that was another thing that kind of made a difference because it's almost like, okay, you know where this person is at, but then it's almost like they're not there, like they're dead, really. Like, so that plays a lot. But because of that, I was always surrounded by a lot of relatives, a lot of cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. I was always surrounded by so many people around me to the point where a lot of us lived like brothers and sisters because their houses were close. It was just really, really close. And so I really didn't get all of the effects, but some of them I did. Um, like when those people who stood in the gap for me um, started becoming sick, like my grandmother and stuff like that. When she started having more strokes and heart attacks and things like that. This is when I started noticing the effects of not having parents there coming to daily functions. Let's go back this way, y'all, because I don't know what's going on with my internet. But in the gaps and bridge a lot of the things lacking. When I say like that when your mother and father leaves you, the Lord will take you up. That is so true. That is so true because I am a living testimony of that. But anywho, so yeah, I had a lot of those, people, even sometimes even strangers would just, and I'll be all right, but this grew up to me because this took off for me and it helped me because it helped me to get into a lot of stable relationships. But when I didn't have that support there, some of the things that I didn't learn um, while I was being supported, it kind of dwindled off. I started getting into I would get into relationships where people were more anxious. They were more anxious about me, or I would get in relationships, which I just had one, y'all. Well, almost that it was the person was avoiding. Like they would literally come close and then they would avoid and then come back. And I was so I started becoming used to that because as you get older, like I said, the people that work for you, that transition happens, you don't have that support, and you didn't learn it. You've seen it, but you don't know what it is. You learned the learned behavior that you learned was what you saw, and not what was actually taught to make you, mentally stable as far as relationships. And especially with the last one, I want to say when I was, with my ex and was really, really abusive with him, it seemed like it was I was at a point in my life where things, even though I was going to therapy then, because I always try to go to therapy, whether I'm feeling good or not, just to have a balance. And I was labeled as having, as having a balance a balanced attachment style, um, one of the things, one of the things that I noticed that is that I was still attracting both avoidance and detached personality styles really, really high. Um, and when I started going through more, just regular issues that make you feel sad, just regular like rejections at work or something like that, or just things, just life, I became more attached to being anxious. I reverted back. Um, and it just really, it really like, okay, it really knocked me behind. It really got me to um, latch on. It had me to latch on to, um, people who were very, very unhealthy until, until I recognized, until things got out of hand and I recognized, like, hey, something is not right. And I'm telling y'all, when you go around, if you ever, the reason why I told you how I grew up is because I was not able to recognize what was unhealthy until later because you have to have, your brain has a capacity where it compares things to what you previously learned. Like previously learned, that's how we function. I by myself or with someone else in this situation, the situation that I was at. And I just started to, because I was like, whatever this is, it's not helping me. Whatever it is, it's just pulling me back. It's not making me better. So I just, like I said, I just moved. I detached. I removed myself from that situation, and just started working on myself. It was really, really hard. But at that time, I started learning the power, the power of loving yourself. And when I say loving yourself, I'm talking about self-love and true self-care. I'm not talking about when they have these self-help books, all that other stuff. Loving yourself, feeling like you are worthy, because it comes out of that. If you've been abandoned, in your life, you can come out with that attachment style, and it will show up. It will show up in so many ways. Once I got hurt and dealt with an abusive situation, I did not want to attach to people. Like, even when I tried to, um, because when you have a balanced um, attached style that's not, codependent or, dismissive, you you tend to, surround yourself. You tend to reflect, and you go back and you balance yourself and push yourself around other people. Well, I had tried to do that, and it was like, I was being rejected because, not understanding I'm being elevated in a lot of things, it's just shepherding. And it made me so closed off. When I say so closed off, I mean so closed off to the point where I would get attached to people who would show up for me 1 minute, and then all of a sudden they would disappear. And I thought that that was normal because I had an anxious attachment style. I had people who run in and out of my life a lot, and I had to cope with it. I had to deal with it. I had no other choice but to deal with it because I was a child, and that's what I had to do to make things, better. I didn't, you know, make the decision with, my parents, with their issues and, their things not being in my life, but it did take a toll on that. And because of that, I had no other way but to cope, and so I had learned how to um, basically cope or fix things and things like that. And it wasn't until I want to say this last time when it was like 2014, 2015, when I started waking up and realizing, how to get a little bit balanced. And it wasn't until this last time that I even got a better grasp on what was going on and how this relationship ended up stopping. I thought it was the worst thing, and it was the best thing that ever happened. I was learning from my mistakes. So, um, I told you guys what happened in 2014, 2015, and how I got to this area. So I ended up meeting someone who um they worked with me. I didn't really meet them. They kind of just came and just, you know, was really fancied about me, really latched on to me. They would go and try to make like connections, all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, certain things it was just making me tick. It was making me just want to scream, but I couldn't put my hand on it. I couldn't understand it. It just felt very manipulative, and it was weird. So I would go and try to talk like, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why are you being hot and cold with me? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And they were like, oh no, everything's fine. Oh no, I'm busy, but you should come and do this. You should do this with me. Very manipulative, y'all. Very much manipulative. And this went on for like, I want to say about a month and a half. Then all of a sudden it went cold because I started to pull away. Now, before this even happened, I literally told this person, like, I could just see that because of how their demeanor was. Like, this person literally watched me from afar. Look, they was just, and guys do that. They watch, but how he watched me from afar, it was just weird. It was beyond weird. Um, I'll have to go into that later. But anyhow, who it was very much hot and cold. And then when I would pull back because I would catch myself, I would try to go and be a fixer and say, okay, well maybe I should fix and see what's going on because everyone has issues. I had some issues and I wish somebody would have help me pull out when I was trying to reach and contact and connect with people in that kind of manner. Maybe I should do that. No, okay. I started learning that and something was clicking in my head after all this training. It started clicking in my head like, no, if somebody wants to be around you, somebody wants to be with you, they're going to make time. That same way that person made time for you is the same way they're going to make time then. And if they don't, you detach and you let go. But it's okay. Okay. I don't know that but the person stopped talking to me. It got really weird because I'm like, okay, this person is going hot and cold. But I was looking at all of the things from the time that I met them until now. I was just seeing that hot and cold, and I was just like, I'm fed up with it, and I don't care if whatever happens. I would rather people try to keep you in the middle zone, like in between, and seemed like that's what that person was doing. So once everything started getting balanced, and that person was like, had to come out and say, hey, you know, I'm not ready, but I don't want you to do. That was my time to cut off ties. That was my time to cut off ties, and it was like it was hurting at first, but it was such a relief later. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I know a lot of people, this is how we get ourselves in sticky situations. You have to give people the same energy. Okay? Life is energy. People are going more, they are understanding life so much more. Some people are energy vampires. And when I say energy vampires, they can't produce themselves, or they don't want to elevate themselves. So they see you doing better. They want to attach to that attachment style. They want to attach to what you're doing because it looks so positive, so motivating. And instead of saying, okay, you give me the confidence to push forward for my dreams. Okay? Those are those kind of people. We have some of those people who do that. Then you got other people who, they see your light and they just hate it because they have given up on everything that they ever thought about or anything that they ever desired. And your light and your energy, that flow is looking, that anointing is it's flowing, and it looks terrifying to them because everything that you're doing is making them look back on their lives and saying, I could have did this, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And it can come out, that can come out in so many ways. That come out with a lot of friends, a lot of family members. That might be another video. Um, and then you have other people who just don't know what it is. They just don't know. They're in the dark. They're in the dark about how they even attach and how they even move. You know, and yeah. So when you don't know something and you get scared, you try to attack it, and you have to understand that y'all don't know what's going on. They can just keep disconnecting. So, like I said, I don't think that I don't feel sorry for the guy who did what he did to me because I don't think that what he was doing was not intentional. I do believe that what he was doing, it was completely intentional. Um, what I do know is that once you come around someone who is a taker, because that person was a taker, he literally sat me down. I remember one of the things that he said when he sat me down, and this made me not give him anything. Because one day he was complaining about, y'all, it was just weird. Like, he would just be really nice, and then he would go and try to attack everything that I did. Y'all, it was just weird. It was almost like sometimes it seemed like this dude was trying to break me down, and all kind of crazy stuff. So I wasn't, and going through that situation, and you come out of it, you're not having it. So those were some of the things, and I would be one of those people to clap back. Like, you want to pierce me, I will know your deepest, darkest fears. Like, I try not to use it, but you have no idea. But anywho, so um, yeah, I would just see that. And one of the things that he said was, I'm only around people who can elevate me. And listen, I'm telling y'all, this was an older person, so this really took the cake for me. He was like, I'm only around certain people who elevate me or lift me higher. I'm never around. Um, he was like a little bit of my equal or lift me higher. He's like, I never go around anyone who's a little bit lower. Now I'm sitting here like, okay, in your life you're gonna, and I'm not saying that you should be around people who are on the lower playing ground. There we go. He would want to go and um, he wouldn't deny being around people who like could help him, or like, say for instance, somebody's buying lunch for everybody. He's cool with that, and they would take turns. He would not join in, but he would partake. He will partake. And I know that sounds kind of messed up, because I've been in that situation before, but I would let people know, like, look, at this time, if I feel like I can't be part of it, I'm gonna let you know, like, hey, I can't be a part of it, or I just say no. I don't go and come on. And I'm not saying if it was like a one-time thing either. If somebody does that and it's a one-time thing, they're not looking for anything in return, that's different. But this individual, it was like, when we all, it was kind of like, I don't want to say like a potluck, but everybody would take turns buying people like drinks and things like this. um this person would want to partake in it and just not give. That was one of the things that I saw. Another thing, it was just like time. This person was trying to make up dates and then just not show up for him. And I was like, well, maybe that's an anxiety thing, because I used to have that. I used to do that, and I used to back off, but it was consistent, y'all. It was consistent, consistent, consistent. Come on, it was consistent, 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 and so with that, and I was like, well, maybe because he would say, oh yeah, I'm busy, but nobody's that doggone busy. Like, I've dated a millionaires, and that is, and literally live with millionaires, and nobody's that doggone busy, y'all. Especially somebody who's making that kind of money. I'm just gonna be honest. Especially, and not only that, especially a man, because a man will find a way to make things happen. And so once I got that in my head, it was easier to. I knew that once I had that signal in my head, I knew it was gonna be easier to detach. It was going to be easier to detach. It was going to be easier to move around. It was just going to be a lot easier for me. And it did. I stopped um, putting that person on a pedestal. I start giving people that same energy, and I had to look at myself like, dang, do I do put people on a pedestal? Yes, a lot of times I do, because I feel like I need to be put on a pedestal sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, well, no, I'm not worthy enough, but sometimes I do. And once I started understanding that, it took that power away from that person, to the point where I started noticing real things about this person. How they would say, well, us and we, when in reality, I was the person that was doing most of the work. That person was leeching off me. Another thing I noticed is that this one really took the cake, y'all. One day he had showed me this presentation that he supposedly did by himself, and he asked me to do it to help him to go do his work, and I was just like, no, like, I just met you, I just met you, like, yeah, you're really smart, blah blah this. I'm like, no, first of all, I don't even like to do my own homework, let alone somebody else's. And secondly, like, you just too no, you're like kind of like my boss, so no. And so I didn't hear a lot from this person. It was like I would hear them from the night, then all of a sudden I hear them in the day. And I remember when I went to another location that we work at, because I had to go to different sites. When I went to the site, the women's site, one of the case managers started telling me about how she helped. She didn't even know that I had this conversation with this person. This person was trying to get me to do things. God was showing me, y'all. God was showing me so many ways. She was telling me how she helped this person. This is how I know that she was not lying. She told me how she was helping this guy put this presentation together and all kinds of stuff. Like he didn't even know this, he didn't know that, he didn't know all this kind of stuff. And it opened my eyes like, okay, so that was the first check mark because I just, to me, like when you do somebody who I like to be with, you have to do your own work. You have to do your own groundwork, your grinding, all that stuff. I appreciate that. Now, if you can have somebody that can do it at the beginning and you to manipulate, that's different. But just to hear that, to say, and you telling me you're doing one thing when in reality you're doing something else. And then not only that, I'm sitting here, this lady telling me all this, and she was like a married woman. And I'm sitting here like, well, where's her husband? Why is he not? Because she's not married to him. Why is he allowing her to do somebody else's work? Like that's just, it sounds ridiculous, you know. And so I didn't make a big, deal about it, but I kept that notation in my head. Another thing I kept in my head was that he had a he had a son who was going, and he had some math homework, and he was in college. And so he tells me that he's helping him with this homework, and he asked me, did I have any knowledge on the homework? I had excellent knowledge on the subject that was at hand. But for me, if I just meet you and it's within 3 months, this all happened within 3 months, y'all. And it wasn't even a month. It was really really close. I was just like, oh no, like that's a no no for me. You need to have, if you so much and you have your stuff in order, you're never gonna ask someone that. And so, and anyhow, who that shows that your child doesn't is not capable. You don't believe in your child to do stuff. A grown child, this person was, yeah. So anyhow, I noticed that, and I was like, I pulled back, and I felt bad because he was like, well, you could have helped me. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't have to. And another thing that really ticked me off, because I started to try to help him on one of the projects, and something told me just to pull back, and I'm glad I did, because the stuff that he presented me like, oh yeah, I did this, and I did this without anybody's help and blah blah this, and I was sitting in my head like, okay, the presentation that I was gonna give you was way better than what you had, but I'm gonna sit there, at least you did the work, at least you did the work. But just going out to finding that, it was just like, wow, you know um yeah. So I don't want to get too drawn on that topic, but the reason why girl, shut up. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is because people are manipulative. They can see. They can see you have greatness. There are people who will attach to you because of that. And you have to understand. You have to understand what it is. And when you see what it is, don't be afraid to detach. Don't be afraid. Don't let them try to nitpick you and make you feel like you're inferior, because that's their goal, because they don't have any energy of themselves. Someone who's going to be manipulative to somebody else, especially a married woman and another kid. And this came from, not only was he manipulative to women, it was to guys too. Because the person who helped him with his son's homework was a guy who not helped him, did it. And so those people, they're used to that kind of behavior. I'm gonna do what I want to do to get over. Thank the Lord, thank the heavens above for not being able to be connected to that person. Give that person the same energy. When I say give them that same standoffish energy, give them that energy. You'll feel so much better. Um, Another thing, if you're dealing with, when you're healing yourself, focus that energy on yourself, getting yourself better, making a better brand for yourself, just doing a lot of things. When I turned all that energy that I was focusing inward, I became so much better. I felt confident in myself. I started doing the things that I like to do, not separating my time to do things that other people wanted me to do. Because some of that stuff, okay, what about hanging out? Sometimes I don't want to hang out. I don't want to go out and party. I don't want to do certain things that a lot of other people are doing. And not to say that some of those things are bad. It's just not what I want to do. And it's okay for you to be that way. It's okay for you to say no. Start saying no to certain things and see how better you will become. A lot of those things that even with the guy, a lot of those things, if I would have said no in the beginning, it would have helped. But yeah, give those people the same energy, match their energy. People always talk about don't match. Don't. It's not a such thing matching your energy because you a believer of God. Yes, it is when you are with unequally yoked people, people who do not know God, people who say that they know God and they know nothing about it, who pretend. Okay, because if the person is right for you, or the situation is right for you, you wouldn't have to pretend. You would not have to pretend. You would not have to feel a certain way. And another thing is, if a person is really into you, and if they're really into you, people will tend to overlook. You just naturally do because you really like that person. Take them rose-colored glasses off, and I promise you, because they took it off for you. Take those rose-colored glasses off, and look at things dead at what it was. One of the things I had to laugh about is that this person that I was talking to. Okay, but what this person was doing, I was attracted to their intellect, but what they was doing was taking somebody else's. Sit down. Oh shoot. Yeah, what they was doing was taking somebody else's intellect and energy and things that they fed into them, and produce it and push it out as something that they did. Good job, girlie. Good job. Come on. And push it out as something that they did when they know doggone well that they didn't do it. So, yeah, I just wanted to give that information on that. Give people the same, and I mean the same doggone energy, because, and people who are like that, they're very greedy. They will know, they will know when you catch on to them, when you really are in, when you catch on to them, because they're gonna pull away, or they're gonna try to attack and be manipulative to you if they think that they still can get some more from you, So, and it's okay. Understand, like pulling away and somebody rejecting you is God's protection for the best. It's God's protection. Okay, like don't give them that same. I said don't give them. Don't give them the energy that you was previously giving them. Give them the same energy. Be standoffish. You don't have to be upset, because once they see that you being, kind of agitated about it, sometimes they get a kick off of that. But just give them space. For me, I gotta work with the bastard. So, and I said what I said. Um, I gotta work with this individual. So, for me, especially when this person, when we were, around and stuff like that and together, it was, they would make time to come around, to be away. But now, since I've taken that energy back and taken my life back, it's almost like this person makes time to go and find things and go and do certain things. So, and to come and to be around you, you're gonna see that energy change shift, especially when you had the juice. I know I'm saucy. Look, I know I'm saucy, but um, yeah, give those people that same energy. And what you'll find out, if you take more of that energy and put it in yourself, you will find more of your purpose, more of your destiny, more of your calling. A lot of people are not attuned to that, and then they see that they out of their life they keep getting heartache and heart pain because they haven't went through that process. They haven't went through that process. A lot of people are fearful of rejection. They're fearful of not making things. I was fearful sometimes of rejection, but I still had to go through it. And I sometimes you got to take baby steps. It's not going to happen all at once. Some people can be like that, but you'll get better over time, to the point where you'll be able to see things really quick before even getting into situations like that. You'll see how somebody moves, and you're like, nope, I'm good. And I do have that, but I second guess myself. But it's okay if you do. But just give those people that same energy. Give them that same energy. Okay. Uh, don't invest more into people who are not investing in you, especially relationship wise. I don't, it not even, when I say relationship wise, I'm not talking about just domestic. I'm talking about relationship wise altogether. Even a corporation, a business, if they are not putting into you, you give them less and less and less and less and less of their time, of your time, okay? Because they're showing you by their actions how they really feel about you, how they really care about you. Give them less, okay? Give them less until they can appreciate more. And some people can never appreciate more, and that might mean that you need to get up and leave, or get a skill set and change something else and leave. Look, and leave. Um, and I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. It's not. It's not. But I promise you, if you keep going, if you keep doing it, and you apply that and you do that to the work, I don't give a care what kind of situation you're in. You could be homeless today and a billionaire in 4 years. Not 5, 4. Okay? Especially how these times are going. If you just put that effort in, you put that work in, put the work in, it's going to make a difference. And that way, once you're working on yourself, you're going to take that energy from that person. That person's going to have to do their own work to get to your light, to upgrade and to excel. And once that happens, once that happens, you're on the equal playing field. You start seeing your worth, and then you find out that you don't even like that person. Man, I'm telling y'all, that's what just really tripped me out. Like, dang, I just gave my energy to this person, and I wasn't even attracted to them at all, like in the least bit away, y'all. And this person not only you start getting attracted to them about what they say, how they're acting, and then they took that and just tried to flip it, and you're like, dang, but that's okay. Be upset, be angry, be revengeful. All of that you are entitled to have. Don't let anybody change you, tell you on that. But I wouldn't say fully act on it as in a way to destroy people's lives. Use that as tackling fuel to search inside of yourself, to find the strength inside of yourself to work on those issues, because a lot of these things that are coming up in your lives, they're playing out from things that you didn't have as a child. A lot of those things, people want to say, well, you made it and you need to be grateful. Yes, I need to be grateful, but in order to get to the next dimension or into the next phase, you got to work on those things. And if you do that and you see people not giving you the same level of respect or dignity or like that, that's your time to pull back. It's not to say that you're not worthy. You might not be on their level. It just might be that way. But somebody who is genuinely, working and developing on themselves, they will never try to put you down because you're at another level at this point in your life. Because people like that, who have worked on things, they can see things from a mile away. They can see. So, like I said, don't give it a second thought. Detach. When somebody's detaching from you, detach from them and focus that energy on yourself. I know you're gonna want to be, especially if you're anxious attachment style, you're going to want to call that person. You might end up looking like a stalker because now you're trying to break your neck and try to fix everything and find out what's going on. I advise you just don't do that. Write yourself, like, why do you even want to know? Why would you want to be with somebody who's pulling away, who you're trying to be open to, and they're not being open to you? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that, and when write it down. Because once you see things on paper, for me, I realize things just what it is, and I smile and I keep that same energy, and I get up and I move around. I move along. And that's what you need to do. Give them that same energy. And don't attach. When you see that happening, don't be surprised when they start lingering back around. And don't give them, some people are going to let them, for me, when I detach from somebody, and somebody, especially from somebody who has been avoiding me, and intentionally, I'm not coming back to you. I'm not coming back to you. I don't give a care how much it hurt. I just don't care. I'm done. When I'm done, I'm done. Let me tell y'all how, and I'm just going to give y'all this illustration. I remember when I was 15 years old, And my aunt used to party a lot, and they used to have their birthdays. They used to party at this pavilion where she used to work at. Everybody used to go to her parties because her parties used to be lit back in the day, and it was like they used to get wild. Like I tell y'all about my family, parties, weddings, funerals. Okay, that's barbecues, weddings, funerals. Like they can party, party, party. And this was one night. And usually when that happens, all the kids gotta stay together. Well, all the other kids, if they're like teenagers and stuff, they wilding out, they smoking, they drinking, they doing all kinds of stuff. And for me, that just wasn't my thing. I would just rather be asleep. I'd be telling them to shut the heck up. But there were younger kids there. So, me being the adult person, which I was really a doggone kid myself, because I was so trained into that. That might be something a little bit different too. Would get up there and I would just be taking care of those kids. I would be taking care of those kids. When one time when she had the party, her son, I had got into it with her younger son. He was like, I had to be like 15. He was like 7, and he was screaming, acting all kind of crazy, and I'm like trying to calm him down. He ended up busting his lip. He ended up telling his mom that I like hurt him or something like that, which everybody knew that was not true. But she's going in. She's not even listening to me, saying all kind of stuff. And I'm like, I didn't do this. Like, this boy's lying. Yeah, mind you, this person is locked up right now because he's always been like that entire life. But anywho, side note, anywho, as she's going off for me and she's telling me, because I was living with her at the time, she tells me I need to get up out of her house and all this other stuff. And I say, fine, okay? So they're partying. They go back and party, and they're like, she's telling them, oh, she's going to have to get out of my house, next week. I want to say this was like a Thursday night because they always had parties. It was never on a Friday, y'all, because the party always started on Thursday. I think I was getting ready for college parties anyway. Child, I grew up. But it always went all the way out to like Sunday. And then we would go to church and then it'd die down. And so she thought that I was going to be there by the time she finished partying and going to, do whatever she wanted to do. You know what I did? I got up and I packed my things. I packed my things and I left. If you tell me to leave, I'm going to leave. Listen, they started going all kinds of crazy. They didn't even know where I was at. I ended up balancing myself, living by myself, getting my own place. Like, y'all, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I would try to fix things until I see it's no resolution. But once I detach, y'all, I don't care what it is. Even in my adult life, I did not try to live back with this person because I was just like, I remembered in my head that stuff, and I was just like, no, I'll do whatever it takes, like, to make this not happen again. And so, which led to a whole bunch of other things too. But yeah. But once they saw that, I'm able to detach. But once they saw that, people was even later on when I went with my other aunt and then I went and lived back with my grandmother, it was just like they were like, we know that when she says she's leaving, you not even go. You can call all the police you want to. You can call. You can call whoever you want to, all you want to, because guess what? When I'm gone, I'm gone. And that's what you need to be with people like that. Get them out of your life, get them out of your circle. You will see a total transformation because once you make room for that same energy that you're trying to project and the things that you're doing, you're going to welcome so many people who are going to be willing and able to love you at the capacity that you're able to not only give, but the ones that the capacity that you need to be. And then you're going to look back and you're going to see and you're going to say, now that I see what's going on, that that love, that attention, that affection that I wanted from that person didn't even matter. They weren't even capable. They weren't even capable of how to respond to you and how to love you. But I'm so glad that I went through that process because through that I ended up finding out who could. Okay? And that's the whole purpose of it. Not to knock people down, just to find out, just to get to the place that you need to be. And I promise you, a lot of that stuff ain't gonna matter. That same, once you mesh people's energy and you keep going, the process, once you get to where you need to go and live in purpose, people who do that, you're not even gonna focus on them. You'll be able to laugh and be grateful for it. So yeah, keep people with that. Give people the same energy that they're giving you. I'm gonna get off of here. Hopefully something I said or done will help you in your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem. Bye.